Hello ladies, gents, and everyones. It is Thursday, April 29th, and we're here to talk about this week's space and astronomy news. The Crew 2 mission launched successfully last Friday at 5:49 a.m. Eastern Time. They arrived at the International Space Station on Saturday, and there are now 11 astronauts on board the space station. This means that some of the astronauts have to sleep in the Dragon capsules, and some other ones have to sleep in what are basically like space cots. The 4 Crew 1 astronauts were supposed to return back to Earth yesterday, but due to weather that was pushed, and now they are scheduled to return on Saturday. JAXA astronaut Akihiko Hoshide has now taken command of the International Space Station, and he will be in command of Expedition 65 until October. Speaking of the International Space Station, China is not a member of the International Space Station Partnership. There has been some talk about partnering with them, but the US is very against it. In fact, the US has legislation since 2011 that NASA is not allowed to collaborate with China or any Chinese-owned companies. This is due to concerns over technology transfer that could have military applications. So, China is making their own space station. Their continuously manned station is a mission called Tiangong, or Heavenly Palace, and the first component for that space station, Tiangong 2, was launched successfully this week. This was the core module called Tiana, or Harmony of the Heavens, and the station is expected to be operational by the end of 2022. Over on Mars, Ingenuity's 30 Sol mission is flying by. Images from the helicopter's color camera from its second flight last week have been released, and they're amazing, of course. And the third flight was successfully completed on Sunday. Now, this flight went to the same altitude as Flight 2, but in this one they traveled 50 meters down and back, and they reached a top speed of about 2 meters per second, which is about 4.5 miles per hour, or a very brisk walk pace. So it was really exciting. And in fact, in this third flight, now the technology demonstration has met or exceeded all of its goals. There are still 2 more flights remaining for them to get more data. In fact, the 4th flight is probably happening right about now as I'm speaking, and the data should make it back to Earth sometime this afternoon. The Perseverance rover has been taking some images and video for us of the helicopter, but on the 3rd flight, the helicopter actually left Percy's field of view because it traveled so far, and it turned the tables and captured this picture of Perseverance, which was pretty cool. At the end of March, the US Space Force issued some red alerts for a possible collision between 2 satellites, one owned by SpaceX and one owned by OneWeb. And we discussed this back in a previous video. Basically what happened is that at the time, the 2 companies coordinated and they were able to maneuver and avoid any possibility of a collision. However, that's not the end of this story, because SpaceX is actually now pushing back on the narrative that was in the media at the time. And they submitted a letter of complaint to the FCC, basically saying there was not ever actually a near miss or a close call or anything like that. And they said in their letter that OneWeb was actually going to retract their previously incorrect statements. However, OneWeb came out and said they have no intention of retracting their statements and that they stand by their previous statements. So, but basically what this all comes down to is this is a very, there is no international regulations for this type of thing, and all of these companies that are involved have lobbyists that are working to, try and make sure that things end up being favorable for them, and they're all concerned about the impact on their future operations. So we're probably going to continue to see stories like this as these companies basically try and figure out how it's going to work. And of course, it's not just these collisions that are an issue. We've talked about these mega constellations in the past and how they have some impacts on astronomy as well. And the International Astronomical Union has been, complaining about this now for a couple of years. And in fact, they recently made an appeal to a UN committee on the peaceful uses of outer space, asking basically for them to protect the night skies and the darkness of the night skies because they're important for astronomy. So black holes are, by their very nature, difficult to detect because they are black. So active black holes that are actively accreting matter can be detected because that matter that's being accreted emits a lot of light. And we can actually now detect black holes that are merging directly via the detection of gravitational waves that they emit during the merger, which is still amazing to me. But other than that, it's very difficult to detect. And perhaps this observational difficulty leads into what is called this mass gap for black holes, and that is we really haven't observed very many black holes, if any, that can be considered low mass. And when I say low mass, I mean, a few times the mass of the sun. Still quite large. And so this is called kind of the lower mass gap for black holes. Now, one way that you can detect a black hole is if it's interacting with another object, and you can detect that object, for example, in a binary star system. And astronomers think that they have done just that. So V723 Mon is a nearby red giant star that appears to be part of a binary, but its binary companion is not visible. Measurements of V723 Mon indicate that its companion has a mass of about 3 solar masses and is not emitting any, basically any electromagnetic radiation. The most likely explanation for this is that it is a black hole, and that would put it a black hole that is squarely in this lower mass gap because it's right at about 3 solar masses, so it's a really exciting detection, and it's also the closest black hole to us. It's only less than half a kiloparsec away. For this reason, the authors called it a unicorn black hole in their paper, and they estimate that based on this detection, there could be 100 to 1,000 similar systems in our galaxy, and this is really great and exciting way to detect black holes that have previously been hidden from us. Well, that's all I have for you this week. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and of course, I hope you will come back again next week. If you like what I do here, please like and subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me. You can also find me all over the web, and the link for all of my social media and sites are below. Yeah, that's all. Okay, thanks. Bye.